members of the executive management of the university. They are ever supportive, always when we have occasions. We have our Vice Chancellor and Principal, Prof. Mokhalong, just to appreciate and acknowledge his support always. We also have our DVC, Teaching and Learning, Prof. Madaje. We also have our DVC, Research, Partnership and Innovation, Prof. C. And then, on top of that, we also have the following to acknowledge here, because we also have visitors. Let me indicate that it is also my pleasure to acknowledge Honorable Inkosi Sanko Patekile, the Deputy Minister in the Department of Corrections Services, and also Mr. Mahoti Samuel, the National Commissioner from the Department of Correctional Services. We highly appreciate your presence just to leave whatever you might have been doing and join us. Let me take this opportunity. I'll be asking the band to play, as I'll be calling the mother of the faculty in the move, Professor Mauto. I know she doesn't like walking. If you can play something that is not interesting her, she will not come. So make sure that you assist her. Prof.
Those of us who belong to the era of Miriam Makebas and others know that the aim is not to sweat. Sanibonani, Molweni, Thobela, Huyemore. I just decided to select those which were left out by Professor Maruma. I would like to start by acknowledging the following dignitaries: the Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor N.M. Mokhalong, the DVC Teaching and Learning, Professor Madate, the DVC Research, Innovation and Partnerships, Professor Singh, the Honorable Deputy Minister of Correctional Services, Nkosi Holomisa, and with the Deputy Minister is coming with an entourage from his office. I won't call them by name, all of them, but with him has Mr. Mahodi Tubahale, the National Commissioner. We have Mr. Sechaba Mpathela, the Regional Commissioner. The list continues. We observe protocol from that office, and hence we are really grateful. We have also the spring lectures organizing committee led by Professor Rafapa Mokhalaga. And we have my counterpart from Mozambique. Save University entourage from Mozambique is led by Professor Chabai. Thank you, sir, for crossing the border with your entourage. With them, there are 24 students. The students are engaged in another activities. We organized activities for them, so they will be taken care of by our international office. We have also members of executive management. Would like to acknowledge you too. Directors of school, heads of department, members of the academic staff, professors, senior lecturers, all staff members. It's proper for me also to acknowledge the outgoing SRC representatives led by President Mr. V. Magamu. And all postgraduate students, there are 28 of them who will be sharing with us their research areas. I would like to acknowledge you too. Ladies and gentlemen, and all students, I see they are joining us. We are honored as a faculty of humanities. I like saying it's a faculty of choice assorted. All of us know the biscuits, choice assorted. You have each and every biscuit inserted in that packet. That is our faculty. All the faculties, if faculty of humanities stops to exist, they will not exist. That is a fact. Like it or not, if we decide to stop to exist, all the faculties, you can name whatever faculty, it will not exist without us. Therefore, with that, because God has granted us that blessing, it's a blessing. We are honored as a Faculty of Humanities to be always the first faculty to share the research initiatives, ideas, proposals. You can peruse the calendars from all the previous years. One thing that will come loud is that Faculty of Humanities is the first humanity all the time to present research papers. That is a blessing from the Almighty. The spring lectures, the reason why is the spring lectures that I just deduced. Spring, you pass each area now, the flowers are starting to bloom. You see pink, you see yellow, you see red, you see, that is the faculty of Ubuntu. Ubuntu. Even trees that are growing on the rock, surprisingly, they are also blooming. So you can ask yourself, why is this happening? That is the blessing of the Faculty of Humanities. With these few words, without breaking long and long and long, we are blessed for the first time to start the spring lectures with a very, very important national office, correctional services. And because of the blessings, Save University from Mozambique is also present. Thank you, Lord. Let's be ready for all the presentations. Thank you.
That round of applause is not fit for the executive dean of the faculty. Can we clap hands for her? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, the executive dean. I should think we had her, and then we are all ready to benefit from what will be happening throughout the day. Can we have another soft song where we will be inviting Prof. Where we will be inviting Prof. Madaji for the official opening. Or maybe I can say, as per the program, the official opening will be done by Prof. N.M. Mukhalong, our Vice Chancellor and Principal, and then it will be done by Prof. Madaj. Can we have a very soft song inviting Prof. Madaji to the fore?
program directors, Prof. Maruma and Prof. Governor, the Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Mukhalong in absentia, the Deputy Minister of Correctional Services, Honorable Inkosi Patekilmile Holomisa, a Member of Parliament, and of course his entourage led by the National Commissioner, Mr. Tawakale, also including regional commissioners in their respective stations, the DVC for Research, Innovation and Partnerships, Professor Singh, and of course, Mungwa faculty, the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Humanities, Professor Mautu, and of course other executive deans. I've seen Prof. Sivanda in our midst, and the rest from the university, and of course the coordinator of the spring lectures, Professor Rafapa, and his hard-working organizing team, Professor Chabali, Dean of Universities from Save University, Mozambique, as well as his colleagues and of course students from Save University as well, directors of school, all of them, and from the international office, I see Professor Mbambo Kekana amidst ourselves as well, heads of departments in the Faculty of Humanities and the rest of the university, and of course, the guest speaker or speakers, Prof. Chabali, we have already recognized him, Dr. Loza, and of course, all the guests from the university and outside the university. I see we have some presenters from other universities like the University of the Free State, academics and support staff, presenters of papers, students, ladies and gentlemen, and we often forget the people who entertain us, the band who is playing beautiful music. I wish I were younger. I would be doing this and this. Abshe, bom dia, Denada. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mukhalong, it is indeed a great honor and privilege for me to be present at this year's spring lectures. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Vice Chancellor to welcome you all to the 2023 spring lectures arranged by the Faculty of Humanities, under the stewardship of Professor Mautu and a capable organizing team under the leadership of Professor Rafapa. This is no mean achievement, considering that coordinating so many activities into a coherent whole is extremely difficult. Can we give them a big round of applause? A special word of welcome also goes to the Honorable Deputy Minister of Correctional Services, Inkosi Holomisa. And we cannot thank him and his staff enough, considering that they are extremely busy, but they made time to be among ourselves. So if a chief visits you, you are indeed also then also honorable. And for that, can we give him one of the biggest rounds of applause? It's also pleasing to observe that we have international scholars, our guest speakers, both of them, Dr. Loza and Professor Chabali. This attests to the fact that we are one as humanity. We may have provinces and countries and different continents, but ultimately we are one species, humanity. More importantly, it is heartening to note that various papers deal with challenging issues facing South Africa today and the world in general. For example, the issue of identity, the issue of the poor performance by the economy, where I see one of the papers is dealing with black tax, the issue of communication. How do you communicate to your sister, to your brother? How do you communicate to people who don't have a classification as such? The issue of inclusive education. I see Professor Temane, our renowned scholar, is going to give a paper on that. Linguistics, and of course, indigenous knowledge systems. Who do you approach if you have a headache? Do you go to a clinic or to an inyanga who is your neighbor? Well, it's up to you to choose where you want to go. Another important issue which is going to be treated in the papers is the fourth industrial revolution. And I would like to agree with Prof. Mautu that the Faculty of Humanities is one of the most important faculties in the whole world. You don't deal only with social issues and education, but you also embrace the sciences, like the fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence. So you are indeed a critical faculty. And I also see issues pertaining to African philosophy, like Ubuntu. Is it still existing or not? Or everyone is there for themselves? Gender issues, as you are aware, these are critical and sensitive issues currently in the country. And one will be looking forward to listening to such presentations. I'm almost done. It is also encouraging to note that some of the presenters are students, especially PhD students and junior academics. I'm envious of you in the sense that some of us learned to present papers when we are lecturers already. So in your case, you are highly, highly, highly fortunate. And I trust you are brave enough to present your papers. Can those who are PhD students raise their hands? I just want to see if you have. Can we encourage them? Thank you. And I can tell you, you are feeling nervous right away. Don't feel nervous. It's part and parcel of being in academia. Tell yourself that I'm not a coward. I'm very brave. I'm going to be excellent in my presentation. And if Prof. Rafapa were to allocate you a mark, he should give you a distinction. So it is normal, though, if you feel jittery, even ourselves, who are like established scholars, when you go to a conference, you feel jittery, you feel afraid a bit. So it's part of being human. So there's nothing out of order if you feel like that. But we wish you well, and things will go well. As the adage goes, we don't grow when things are easy. We grow when we face challenges. So even in your case, it's a challenge of presenting, but thereafter, you never know. One day you are going to head the Faculty of Humanities, and it starts here, because this is going to be on your CVs. And of course, all the academics who are here, we highly appreciate your presence. And I know the humanities, it's my home, and it's still my home. So I feel so proud to see most of you being so supportive, and most of you going to present excellent papers, so that then you become rated scholars and you shine nationally and even internationally. Once more, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I welcome you all to the 2023 Spring Lectures, and I wish you a wonderful conference. I thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Madaje, for the warm welcome and words full of wisdom. We highly appreciate. It means the spring lectures are officially opened. Going to the next item, I would like to indicate that some people are wells of knowledge which must not dry up, because should they dry up, it means they will result in lack of knowledge, and which is not what we want. Today, or let me say currently, we have one special well of knowledge who will be presenting to us. We must be ready to drink from this well. Let me request our band here to play as we will be requesting Prof. Moruboya to give us an introduction of this well. Prof. Moruboya.
Thank you very much to our melodious band, and hearty greetings to all of us who are gathered here for 2023 Spring Lectures Conference in the university, the Faculty of Humanities. It has already been mentioned that we are on the move always. I am not going to introduce, because they've already been introduced and acknowledged. Mine is just to say I observe all protocol. The brief task that I'm going to execute here is to introduce our guest speaker, our honorable guest speaker, for this wonderful academic occasion. And I would like to take this opportunity to indicate as well that it is my singular honor and privilege to do that. Our guest speaker is none other than Professor Matthias Chabali. What he has given us there is very terse and short, and I'm just going to read it out to all of us. Professor Matthias Chabali is an anthropologist. He is currently the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities at Save University in Mozambique. And the keynote address, the paper that is going to present to us, is titled Albinism, Myths and Human Rights in Africa. A big round of applause for our guest speaker as he gracefully ascends the stage. Can you do it again? I think I must also make mention of the fact that Professor Chabali is accompanied by his colleague who will be interpreting some of the aspects of the things that he will be presenting on, because he will be talking to us at times in Portuguese. The platform is yours, Prof.
Halala Limpopo, halala. Halala Limpopo, halala. Thank you so much. With your permission, I'd like to say we are very happy to be here. And we also want to express our gratitude for all that the University of Limpopo did and is still doing for us. Thank you so much. You invited us and you also did everything. You are doing everything to facilitate our coming and staying here at this university. We arrived yesterday night and we had a wonderful reception. Halala Limpopo, halala. I'd like to thank the team of the Faculty of Humanity who is doing everything for us in this occasion. I also want to say that we are here in number of 26, 2 professors and 24 students. This was possible because of your help. We started our trip to University of Limpopo yesterday by 3:00 a.m. And during the street, we were listening the music of Limpopo. We were listening Kingi Munada, and we also dance the music of Queen Makadzi. Along the way, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Manuel José Moraes, in University of Save, he gave us a special message to all of you because of what is happening or what happened in Joburg, the fire tragedy, where more than 74 our brothers and sisters passed away. We want to say we are very sorry for that. And we also want to ask for a minute of silence in their memory. Please stand up. Thank you so much. Getting to the Spring Lecture 2023, we want to say thank you so much for the organizers of this event, Faculty of Humanity. As you know, we are also the biggest faculty in University of Save, the Faculty of Arts and Social Science is also the biggest. So we are real important, and all other faculties are having us as reference. We are big in terms of students, number of students, and we are big in terms of number of professors. For better communication and understanding of this, I'd like to have a hand of my colleague, Professor Mira, who is right here, to translate, and I want to do this in Portuguese, if you allow that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Estamos uma linha de pesquisas de impacto.
Sub University, we are carrying out some very prominent lines of research.
A nossa primeira pesquisa que está em curso neste ano tem a ver com o problema dos funerais nos quintais.
The first research that we are carrying out this year has to do with the burials that they take place within people's yards.
É uma prática cultural em que os que morrem são enterrados atrás, dentro do quintal, e vão arrumando aí as campas.
It's a practice down in Mozambique that when people die, they are buried within their yards.
Temos conhecimento de que esta prática também existe aqui na África do Sul.
We are aware that this practice also does exist here in South Africa.
Em Moçambique, o que está a criar problema é o facto de esta prática não facilitar o processo de urbanização.
The challenge in Mozambique is that this practice does not allow or does not ease the process of urbanization.
E aquilo que está a acontecer é que as cidades estão a ficar comprometidas em termos de desenvolvimento por conta desta prática cultural.
What's happening is that this practice is bringing a great constraint in the development of cities in Mozambique.
E o nosso objetivo com esta pesquisa é encontrar um meio termo entre a cultura e a urbanização.
Our objective with this study is to find a mid-term between culture and the process of urbanization.
A segunda pesquisa que estamos a levar a cabo tem a ver com situações em que chamam combo.
The second research that we are carrying out has to do with a phenomenon that we call it Kobo.
Combo é uma espécie de azar em que a casa onde as pessoas nascem, depois os pais morrem, os avós morrem e os filhos devem abandonar a casa para construir uma nova casa.
Combo is a practice that people believe that the house of their deceased is being haunted and they cannot live there. The children, they cannot live there. They have to abandon that house because they think that these houses, they are associated with bad luck. They have to find a new place to live in.
Esta prática está também a comprometer o processo de civilização, de urbanização, porque estas casas abandonadas existem no meio da cidade onde podiam ser construídas grandes casas e grandes estradas.
This practice is also hindering the process of development because these are houses that they would have been used by the children of this deceased, but unfortunately they cannot be used because they believe that these houses are being haunted and they are being associated with bad luck.
Estamos, portanto, a negociar com os municípios e as comunidades para ver se há algum processo de exumação destas campas e facilitar o crescimento das cidades.
We are trying to negotiate with the municipality to see whether there is anything that can be done to sanctify these houses so that the children can live in these houses.
A terceira pesquisa que estamos a levar a cabo nestes dias
The third research that we are carrying out these days
com a violência entre é uma violência em que se luta contra os amantes.
The third research that we are carrying out these days is the violence that is carried out between couples, particularly couples who have extramarital affairs.
Assistimos é que quando eu tenho a minha esposa e eventualmente eu tenho uma namorada,
What happens that once I have my wife and I then have a lover,
a minha esposa quando descobre isso, em vez de falar comigo, com quem tem o contrato de casamento, vai violentar a minha namorada.
once my wife comes to know that, instead of dealing that with me, she goes and fights against my lover.
O que estamos a tentar fazer é perceber por que a minha esposa não negocia comigo, com quem tem um contrato, e vai violentar, bater, matar, atropelar aquela namorada que não tem nada a ver com a situação.
What we are trying to understand is why doesn't my wife, instead of negotiating with me, because I have the contract with her, why does she go and fight with the person who she doesn't have any contract with her?
Nós, infelizmente, temos assistido em Moçambique, temos assistido pelo mundo fora, já tivemos experiências na Europa por algum tempo, assistimos isso em que os namorados e as namoradas são perseguidas, mortas, atropeladas, envenenadas, por conta de ser amante.
We've witnessed in Mozambique and even in Europe that most of the lovers of people who are married, they are followed up, they are poisoned, they are even killed, only because they go out with the spouses of, the spouses of either our wives or our husbands.
Uma coisa interessante na nossa pesquisa é que muitas vezes quando eu vou atrás desta namorada, eu nem digo que sou casado. Eu minto e ela me aceita porque eu disse a ela que não tinha compromisso nenhum.
One of the interesting things here is that once I propose to these lovers, I don't tell them that I'm married. I hide that part, and most often than not, they accept us because they think that we are not committed.
E ela é minha namorada, porque eu é que aceitei a ela.
And she is my lover because I am the one who proposed her and I'm the one who accepted her.
Isso acontece também com a minha esposa. Se ela se envolver com um homem lá, eu vou deixar de lado a minha esposa e vou atrás daquele homem para discutir e fazer confusão com ele.
This also happens with women. Once women they have love affairs, the husbands also, instead of negotiating with the wives, they go and look for the men, and they fight these men who involve themselves with their wives.
Nestes dias, acabamos de assistir em Moçambique, havia um rapaz que envolveu-se com a esposa de um senhor, e depois deste envolvimento, a mulher ficou grávida e o marido estava a viajar. Quando o marido regressou, descobriu que a esposa estava grávida e foi imediatamente procurar o rapaz com quem o dono da grávida e matou.
Very recently in Mozambique, we witnessed a case that a boy went out with someone's wife, and once the husband came back, he looked for the boy and he ended up killing the boy.
Então estamos preocupados nesta pesquisa.
So we are concerned with these issues.
Entrevistas com os amantes, com os esposos, para compreender a lógica desta situação.
We are trying to talk with these married people who have extramarital affairs to try to understand this phenomenon.
A quarta pesquisa que estamos a levar a cabo nestes dias tem a ver com os mitos do albinismo.
The fourth research that we are carrying out these days has to do with the myths around albinism.
Como sabem, e em todo o mundo, diz-se que as pessoas com albinismo não morrem.
As you may know, throughout the world, it is said that people who have problems of albinism, they don't die.
Na África do Sul, não é assim também.
Isn't it the same here in South Africa? Don't you believe that people who have albinism, they don't die?
Então, nós fizemos uma pesquisa sobre os mitos do albinismo para procurarmos entender como estas pessoas vivem, onde vivem, que dificuldades estão a ter. E, nesta lógica, fizemos uma pesquisa em Moçambique, em Guiné-Bissau e em São Tomé e Príncipe. E conseguimos alguns resultados.
On this note, we carried out a research trying to understand how the people who have albinism problems, how do they live, where do they live, and this research was carried out in a couple of countries in Africa, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, and São Tomé and Príncipe.
Das pesquisas atuais que temos na Universidade de Save, em termos sociais, esta sobre o albinismo é que mais nos importa.
Among all the research that we are carrying out at the Save University, this is the one that we are most concerned with.
Eu queria aqui ouvir daqui dos colegas da África do Sul o que é que se diz das pessoas com albinismo, os mitos que andam aqui na África do Sul, aqui em Limpopo, em torno do albinismo.
I would like to hear from you. What are the myths around albinism here in South Africa and particularly here around Limpopo?
Alguém quer dizer algum mito sobre isso, rapidamente? Depois.
Can anyone share with us one of the myths around albinism before we proceed?
Please.
Thank you very much. One of the myths is that an albino would disappear, from the earth's surface before he dies, and would not know where he is buried. Thank you.
Mais.
Can we have some more myths?
Hi, I think one of the myths is that they have good luck. That's why they're killed for muti.
Thank you. Someone else?
In the other African communities, albinos were killed because they were regarded as a curse.
Muito obrigado. Que realmente há muitos mitos e crenças sobre o albinismo.
Thank you very much. We can now witness that there are a couple of myths and the beliefs against albinism.
As pessoas com albinismo, nós fizemos um estudo envolvendo 28 pessoas.
We carried out a study with 28 people.
Daquilo que analisamos é que estas pessoas, 28, todas sofrem algum tipo de discriminação em público.
So we carried out with 28 people suffering from albinism, and what we noticed is that all of them, they suffer problems of discrimination.
Mais de 27, ou se não 27, confessaram que sofreram rejeição familiar.
Around 27, they've confessed that they suffered rejection within their families.
24 disseram que não tinham formação, ensino básico.
24, they said that they were not trained, they didn't have the basic education.
E 25 deles não têm emprego.
And the 25, they are unemployed.
22 pessoas são singulares, não têm casamento, estão com dificuldades de conseguir uma esposa ou um esposo.
24 out of this, they are single. They have problems in getting, be it a wife or a husband.
Já sofreram perseguição, escaparam de uma perseguição para serem mortas.
And 7, they escaped because they were being followed to be killed.
As pessoas com albinismo geralmente morrem isoladas e sem este acompanhamento não levam uma vida normal, vivem, portanto, isoladas.
Most people who suffer from albinism, most often than not, they live lonely, and they don't benefit from the company of others, and they end up dying very early.
Estas pessoas, infelizmente, não existem dados estatísticos sobre a população com albinismo no mundo.
Unfortunately, we don't have statistic data of people who suffer from albinism worldwide.
Aqui em África, apenas a Tanzânia, o Malawi e a Namíbia é que fazem as estatísticas do albinismo.
In Africa, only in Tanzania, Malawi and Namibia are the countries which they have records of the statistic of people who suffer from albinism.
Esperávamos que em 2018 a África do Sul fizesse essa estatística, estávamos atentos. Infelizmente, não houve esta informação.
We hope that in 2018, South Africa will do those studies and provide us with the statistic data, but unfortunately the study was not carried out.
É uma situação geral. Também em Moçambique o governo não faz a estatística do albinismo.
It's a general issue, because even in Mozambique, the government does not have the statistic data of people who suffer from albinism.
A justificação é que fazer estatística de pessoas com albinismo significa discriminar, porque estamos a distingui-las.
The reason that it's put forward is that making statistics of people who suffer from albinism may be a way of discriminating them.
Mas achamos que esta estatística é importante para sabermos como vivem, onde vivem, que níveis de escolaridade conseguem.
But we do think that this type of studies and the statistic data are very important so that we can have information with regards to where they live, how they live, and what is their level of education.
Inimigo da pessoa com albinismo é o sol.
The first enemy to the people who have albinism problem is the sun.
E o segundo maior inimigo somos nós, a sociedade.
And the second biggest enemy is the society, we ourselves.
Por causa dos nossos mitos e crenças.
Because of our myths and beliefs.
Nós temos registro de algumas crenças. A primeira crença diz, por exemplo, que ter um filho com albinismo é uma espécie de punição contra um pecado dos progenitores, como vê aqui na tela no número 1.
Having a child with albinism problems is a punishment because the parents did something that they're being punished for.
E também sabemos que há pessoas que pensam que o albinismo é contagioso e por conta disso não aceitam saudar, dar a mão às pessoas com albinismo.
Some people also think that albinism is contagious, and that is why they wouldn't feel free to shake hands with the people who have problems of albinism.
Também há pessoas que pensam que as mães dão filhos com albinismo porque é por causa do trovoada, o raio trovão, que atingiu a criança e por isso a criança nasce queimada.
Some people do believe that women, they give birth to people with albinism because of thunderstorms. So there was a thunderstorm that burnt the child in the mother's womb.
As pessoas com albinismo também são confundidas numa lógica de que elas não têm a última camada de pele, portanto elas estão em falta de uma camada de pele.
People who suffer from albinism, they are also confused that they lack a layer of their skin.
São muito sensíveis, aquela cor significa que falta a coloração final.
Their color means that they lack the last layer that will give them the natural color.
E também acredita-se que as pessoas com albinismo são fantasmas.
It's also believed that people who suffer from albinism, they are ghosts.
E tem poderes mágicos, como alguém disse aqui, tem poderes mágicos, por isso a sua pele, os seus olhos, o seu cabelo é importante para processos de magia.
And it's also believed that these people, they have supernatural power. That is why it's believed that their hair and even their skin can be used to treat some problems.
Eu fui a uma localidade em Malawi e encontrei lá uns jovens que estavam a tirar uma barbearia e quando chegasse uma pessoa com albinismo para tirar o cabelo, as pessoas recolhiam aquele cabelo e punham no plástico.
I went to a place in Malawi. I visited a barber shop where when a person who suffered from albinism came to shave their hair, the people around there, they would collect their hair.
E também temos esta grande crença de que os albinos não morrem.
We also have this belief that people with albinism, they don't die.
E nós perguntamos às pessoas com albinismo o que acham destes mitos sociais.
We then asked people with albinism, what do you think about these myths?
E o que estas pessoas pensam delas mesmas.
And what do you think about yourselves?
E estas pessoas disseram que somos pessoas normais e só queremos uma vida tranquila.
They say that we are normal people and the only thing that we want is a peaceful life.
E nós queríamos, portanto, fazer esta provocação. Como podemos proteger os direitos das pessoas com albinismo num mundo de mitos?
The question we have is how can we protect the rights of people who have albinism problems around all these myths?
Desenhamos, portanto, 3 ações.
We then designed 3 possible solutions.
A primeira solução se chama desmistificação social do albinismo através de palestras.
The first one is to demystify the albinism phenomenon through lectures.
E nós fazemos isso.
And we do that.
E também estamos a potenciar e ajudar os estudantes com albinismo. Nós temos na Universidade de Save a ajudá-las a terminar a sua formação e poder ter emprego.
We are also supporting students who have problems of albinism at Save University to finish with their training and get employment.
E sabemos que aqui na Universidade de Limpopo também tem estudantes com albinismo, não é verdade?
We are also aware that even here at the University of Limpopo, you have some students who have problems of albinism.
Temos ou não temos?
Do we have or not?
Yes. Thank you so much. E a terceira ação que estamos a levar a cabo é atendimento médico para estas pessoas.
The third action that we are carrying out is the medical care, a provision of medical care to these people.
Não vejo aqui os estudantes com albinismo para fazer valer e pedir esta ação conjunta entre a Universidade de Save e a Universidade de Limpopo. Queríamos que assumíssemos isso.
And unfortunately, I don't see the students with the albinism problem in this room. But what I would have liked to ask is the University of Limpopo and the University of Save to make a joint venture so that you can together solve or at least try to mitigate the problems of people who suffer from albinism.
O que nós queremos é criar mundo melhor para as pessoas com albinismo.
What we want is to make a better world for people who suffer from albinism.
Especial que queria deixar para as pessoas com albinismo é que trouxemos aqui uns protetores solares cicatrizantes para oferecer. E como não vemos aqui os estudantes, queremos fazer esta oferta à Faculdade de Humanidades, que é a maior, e através dela este medicamento irá chegar aos estudantes.
One of the messages that I would like to leave with the people who suffer from albinism is that I have some solar protectors, some medicine that these people would need. That I'm going to offer this to the Faculty of Humanities, and I hope that the Faculty of Humanity will reach this medicine to the people who suffer from albinism.
Eu queria pedir à professora Maus para vir cá e receber estes.
I would like to ask Professor Maute to come forward and receive this medicine.
E nós também queríamos pedir a presença aqui do professor Rafapa para fazermos a entrega de outro presente também para pessoas com albinismo.
We would like to ask Professor Rafapa to come forward to receive another gift we also have for people who have problems of albinism.
Estes são lupas em que pessoas com albinismo têm problema de vista. Então, estas lupas ajudam a ampliar as letras e facilitar a leitura.
These are magnifying glasses. We know that people who have albinism problems, they have sight problems, and these magnifying glasses will help them in their reading.
E, professor Rafapa, encontre entre os estudantes aqueles que estão com problema de vista muito acentuado para oferecer esta lupa.
I would like to ask Professor Rafapa to track the students who have serious problems of sight, students who suffer from albinism, to deliver these magnifying glasses.
Uma mensagem final para as pessoas com albinismo que forem encontrar por ali, digam a elas que elas são capazes, elas são, é só uma questão de persistência.
A message that I would like to leave for people who suffer from albinism, and if you meet them, you'll tell them, just tell them that they are capable. It's just a matter of perseverance.
One day, someone went for hunting in the bush. Is it correct? And then, because of capim, grass. Because of grass, he was not able to discover that there was a big pitch. So what happened is he fell in that pitch, and then he started shouting, asking for help, isn't it? He was hunting, and he fell down in the pitch, and he started shouting in order to have help, isn't it? But the pitch was very deep. He was unable to come up alone. So he shouted a lot, and someone who was passing by went to see what was happening from that voice. He arrived there and discovered that someone was in the pitch. And they started talking. What can I do for you? He said, I'm not able to come out, so please help me. And that man went to find something, rope, ladder. He went to bring ladder in order to help that man to come out. But when he brought a ladder, he found that man who was in the pitch out of the pitch, waiting for that man with the ladder. And the man with the ladder, when he arrived there, he asked, how you are out? How did you manage to come out? And he said, oh my dear, as soon as you went to find a ladder, inside there was a big snake which caiu lá dentro.
There was a big snake that fell in the pitch.
Logo que a cobra caiu, eu saí.
The sooner the snake fell in the pitch, I came out from the pitch.
Isto é para dizer o quê? Que aquele homem, na verdade, sabia sair sozinho da cova. Só precisava que a cobra desse pequeno apoio.
This is just to say that the man was able to come out from the pitch. He just needed some motivation from the snake.
Digam às pessoas com albinismo que elas são capazes.
Please tell the people who suffer from albinism that they are able.
Halala Limpopo, halala. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Chabai, for that very thought-provoking, inspiring talk that you gave us at our keynote address at the Spring Lectures. We are honored that you were able to grace this occasion to be with us and share such, information that is often very shrouded, but that was indeed an eye-opener. And we also appreciate the fact that you have initiated a collaboration between University of Limpopo and your university, so we can start looking at this to increase our database. Thank you very much. So we would like to invite some questions for discussion. So anyone with questions? Okay, before we could take the questions, the research professor would do a vote of thanks for our keynote speaker. So over to Prof. Rapapa.
Thanks so much, Professor Govender. Good morning, good afternoon, good day. I don't know which. Before I leave, the Executive Dean, Professor Mautu, would love to hand over a token of appreciation. But it's tradition in our university for a one-liner thanking a keynote speaker before questions can be fielded. What Professor Chabai has said and done is true to the nature of African philosophy that we know is not meditated upon, but lived. Intervening, researching, having findings, discussing, making projections is European, is African, because after all, science was stolen from Africa and taken to Europe and other parts of the world and re-imported in the guise of westernization. So it's ours, this research, yet until you give, you have not been African in your research enterprise. It's so ebullient to see this Afrocentric, uniquely us-ness in the enterprise of research, taking it back where it belongs, where it comes from, where it originated in Africa. Anyway, my duty here is to prick our intellectual wells and shake the dregs of thinking a bit. Just touching here and there, I believe that as we interrogate the paper, as we interact with the concepts, we shall do this from the perspective of remembering that things that are said, proven by the research, to be happening against people living with albinism are un-African. If you put this side by side with African humanism, with our communalism, you would then concur that it's more sonorous, more pernicious, most painful for someone living with albinism to be discriminated, stigmatized, isolated, marginalized, brutalized, dehumanized in the midst of Africans known for communalism. It's better to isolate somebody coming from an individualistic episteme or culture or lifestyle. But for us Africans to do what is said to be done by us is so un-African. Thank you for bringing back who we are and getting into this. Colleagues, I'm not giving a paper. The paper was given by the expert. I just want to prick so we are harnessed as we engage and pose questions. Africans whose lifestyle is African humanist, starting from Kandeke in Zambia, coming down to researchers like Abrahams, our brothers across the Atlantic, W.E.B. Du Bois and others. In South Africa, Eskia Mphahlele, they emphasize the sacredness of human life, sacredness of human life. Is it us? How did this set in? How did this aberration come to be in our midst? The myths about killing twins. The myth. How can Africans believe that twins have to be eliminated or people living with albinism are not human? If we have our folk tales are replete with tales like Mashilu and Mashilunyan, twins, living side by side harmoniously, none butchering the other. Tobela and Tobejan, Kasukuku, twins, they never butchered each other. Let me leave it here. I think we're pricked. We shall ask apt questions when time comes. Thanks. Thanks. Thanks, Prof.
Thank you, Prof. Rafapa, for those very thought-provoking ideas that you also advanced. Yeah, we were on the point where we were looking for questions for discussion. So if we could take at least at the start, the first 5. Okay, you would be number 1, right at the black there, number 2. Any other questions? Yes? 3 on this side? Yeah? That's 4? Yeah, and 5, Prof. Makatlela. Okay, we will go in that order, and Prof, you will scribe your questions and then give a response. Okay, so the first question.
That's me, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for such a wonderful presentation. They generally say there is no smoke without fire. When interrogating the myths, what has brought them into being? What is the foundation of those myths? Where do they come from? Before you mythologize, obviously there could be something that is the basis of that. Maybe if that can be interrogated further, maybe that would also help in demythologizing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Could we get the second question? Who was the second speaker here? Yes, it was you. Yes, you are the second. Right. I think if you could use a mic so they can scribe and get the essence of your question. Thank you so much, Prof.
Technology had never loved me. But am I audible enough, colleagues? Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Prof, for being brave enough to bring these thorny, topics on the table. However, I would love to be succinct and ask you, and you did flag in your presentation a question of creating access, opportunities for people living with albino, to obtain employment opportunities. However, I wanted to check on the role that is actually played by higher institutions of learning in terms of making sure that that particular call, as noble as it could be, is not just sugar-coated or, attended to as a matter of window dressing. And then I would take you through the employment equity profile, of the higher institutions of learning in terms of, the minor and little knowledge that I've acquired in participating in such a space. That, demographics are, are clear that we have got white people, we have got Indians, we have got coloreds, but then remember to make sure that we aspire towards ensuring that there is, equal opportunities for everyone. Others are being elevated, and then elevation of such people is notable where, there is a clear stance on inclusion in terms of those that are living with disability across the spectrum. However, I see the African profile to be more dynamic because included in it is the very burning topic that Professor raised, that we have got people who are living with albino, but then it is not sectioned anywhere else, equal to, how people who live with disability are sectioned. And then what is perhaps the role of the university to make sure that, that particular call indeed materializes?
Thank you for that. And I think we had a third speaker on this side.
Thank you very much, Program Director and the Professor, for such a wonderful presentation. Mine is to ask regarding the medicine, is it the lotion? Because I'm just reminded that the students, using our contact classes, they'll come and ask donations and asserting that their lotions are very expensive to use. So I'm just asking out loud to say, is it one of those lotions where, like, your chefs would say secret sauce, or so that should they come, and not only in our institution, but also because these people are there in our communities as well, so that when they come, we are able to say to them they can find it here and there. So my question in a nutshell is just to say, are they accessible everywhere? Are they effective in also assisting them with their skin? Because I know usually they'll ask donations, asserting that their lotions are very expensive, hence they frequently ask donations and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Important question. On this side, we've had two. Our fourth question.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Prof, for having, brought this, I would say, a very sensitive topic, a topic that some of us are still a bit scared to talk about. Firstly, as a linguist, I would like to ask, across African continents, in terms of this condition, albinism, we have got equivalents in our indigenous languages to refer to this condition. But in some languages, I know there is a problem. Like I can attest that, my colleagues can attest that even in language like Sepedi, which is spoken here in South Africa, we are still grappling with a correct equivalent that would be an equivalent of albinism, that will be accepted even by the same people, So I just wanted to find out if maybe in other African countries, you also have got that particular issue wherein you cannot find an equivalent that it's well received by the very same people. Now, my second issue relates to, the issue of race. I would like to believe that as human beings, albinism cuts across all races. We don't have so-called Africans or blacks who suffer, or who are affected by albinism, or white people who suffer from albinism, or even Indians or whatever race. So now my fear or my question is, all this, atrocities, myths, and all these dehumanizing issues that befall people living with albinism, does it cut across, the issue of race in terms of albinism? In other words, do we have an individual who happens to be of a white descent, a Caucasian, who suffers, the very same prejudices that we are talking about now? Or is it only those who come from an African origin, like blacks and others, who suffer this? Yes, I think my questions are well kept for now. I'll just stop here. Now, the last issue, which it's for everyone. Prof, I heard you whenever we talk about this, we say, I'm from a linguistic background, we say people who suffer from albinism. The question is this a suffering? The concept. I've got a very serious concern with that. Because when I did my studies, from time to time, like I would look at people who do not have, what I would call adequate English proficiency. From my junior degree, when I was still trying to find my feet, I would say people who suffer from poor English linguistic ability. And my professors, my mentors would say, you are a bit insensitive. Is that a suffering? So my question is, are these people suffering from that? Thank you very much. This is just for everyone to ponder. Thank you.
Thanks for that. That's noted. Your questions are noted. Question we had, over to you, Prof.
Thanks, Prof. Govender. And to immediately respond as one of the participants, in psychology, to humanize them, we say they live with, they do not suffer. So we live with conditions rather than, because to say they suffer is to globally say they have been stripped off of their humanity. Thanks. My question to our speaker has to do with one of the carrots that he dangled before he delivered his beautiful delivery around issues of bereavement. I'm into bereavement studies, and he mentioned that there are spaces which they are unable to use because are said to be contaminated, and of course it's in line with African epistemology or African worldview. So my question there is, has there been studies already conducted conclusively to highlight on ritualistic practices that go into those spaces as to decontaminate them? And if that is the case, have you managed to conduct follow-up studies as to what's the uptake post those spaces having been ritually cleansed? So what's more so to say, what has been are you seeing positive uptake of those spaces by family members, so that we can say indeed those interventions are useful or are effective? Because I'm asking that question because, as we know, you can go to the issue of albinism. These are deep-rooted issues in terms of African belief. And of course, to deal with a belief, rooting it out of a human's mind, it can really be quite a difficult process. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much for those questions. Definitely very interesting and intriguing. And we invite our speaker, our keynote speaker, Prof. Chabai, to ascend the stage again to educate us on those issues.
Thank you so much for the questions. It means that this issue is really important for all of us, and we understand the reason of this discussion. Where are these beliefs and myths come from? That was the first question, isn't it? I've also a question about this situation. We believe that there is someone over there whose name is God. He is watching us day and night. He is able to see, to vigilate us, even in the darkness. This spiritual entity has a capability of punishing us. It means there is a list of 10 things that we have to do. If we don't obey these 10 things, we are going to hell. And if you obey these 10 things, we are going to the paradise. Paradise, isn't it? We believe that God is watching us, and there is a better place than this. And that place is paradise. Where this belief is coming from? And I can also ask, if you are so sure that there is a better place than this, where we can find milk, rivers of milk and honey, why we don't go now to that better place? It means that where these myths are coming from, the faculty of humanity is better best to give answer for this question. Why we still believe that there is someone watching us day and night, and even in the darkness? Why we still believe that there is a better place than this? And even though we are not able to go now, why we believe? To summarize, I have to say the issues of myths are coming from our own humanity. Do you understand what I say? It's complicated to understand why we still, where these beliefs coming from, and why we are being rusted to be observing these 10 things in the list as a key to the paradise. I don't know where the myths are coming from. I don't know. If my colleague, the owner of this question, is, I think he has also some beliefs and myths in his own. If I didn't understand the name, but this colleague believe that God exists. Where this belief is coming from? So I'm not answering your question, please understand. Forgive me for that. The second question is, what the universities, high schools can do to help in terms of politics, to help people with albinism. And I also want to underline this. The right indication is people with albinism. PWA. People with albinism. That's the right indication to refer these people. What we can do, what can we do for people with albinism. We have started giving them support in school, in education, giving them possibilities. We used to invite hospitals to make cirurgias. Colega Mira?
Surgeries.
Organizamos cirurgias para estas pessoas serem atendidas, que têm feridas, para serem atendidas nos hospitais.
We organize some surgery events for these people who have some wounds to be assisted at different hospitals.
Também que estas pessoas cheguem no hospital e tenham pronto atendimento, não esperam.
We also try to negotiate with these hospitals so that when these people living with albinism get to the hospital, they have special attendment.
Nós temos amigos que nos apoiam, são médicos da Espanha, são de Portugal e mesmo de Moçambique, nos hospitais centrais. Eles aceitam dar assistência gratuita às pessoas com albinismo.
We have some friends who are medical doctors coming from Spain and some countries in Europe who we work with, and these people they are ready to assist the people who live with albinism whenever we refer them to them.
Então, o desafio que deixamos à Universidade de Limpopo e à Faculdade de Humanidades Especial,
the challenge that they would like to give to the Limpopo University and the faculty, particularly the Faculty of Humanities,
é fazer parcerias com os hospitais, fazer parcerias com instituições que produzem medicamentos, os farmacêuticos, para que estes produtos de apoio, esta assistência, seja facilitada para pessoas com albinismo.
Is to make partnerships with these factories that produce this medicine for people who live with albinism, so that they can offer them at an affordable price.
Não sei se temos aqui na universidade o número exato de estudantes com albinismo.
I don't know whether we have the exact number of people who live with albinism at Limpopo University.
Sabendo quantas pessoas são, é possível encontrarmos apoios para estes estudantes.
Once we know how many people exactly live with albinism in the University of Limpopo, it will be possible for us to find some support for them.
E também a Universidade de Limpopo, enquanto instituição de pesquisa, deve saber fazer uma investigação, um levantamento sobre as estatísticas do albinismo.
And I would also like to challenge the University of Limpopo to carry out a study to come up with the statistic numbers of people who live with albinism.
A outra questão que eu queria responder tem a ver com a discriminação, se é só em África ou é em todo o mundo.
The other question that I would like to answer is with regards to the discrimination, whether it only happens in Africa or it also happens in other parts of the world.
Na Europa, por exemplo, e na América do Norte, as pessoas do albinismo são consideradas filhos da lua.
In Europe, or rather in the northern part of America, people who live with albinism, they are considered as the children of moon.
Isto significa que estas crenças estão em todo lado.
This means that these beliefs are all over the world.
E também estas pessoas são consideradas netos do sol.
These people are also considered as the great children of the sun.
São crenças que predominam em todo o mundo.
These are beliefs that they are present throughout the world.
Portanto, a discriminação é geral e em todo o mundo.
The discrimination against people who live with albinism is all over the world.
Sobre a descontaminação das casas que têm combo, tem havido alguma ação, sim, mas a questão é a crença daquelas famílias, a situação econômica daquelas famílias que devem abandonar uma casa para começar uma nova vida.
with regards to the cleansing of the haunted houses, there's a process, yes, but the big issue is the economical situation of the people who have to leave these houses.
Começar uma nova vida num contexto diferente.
Who they have to start a new life in a different context.
A pesquisa ainda está em curso e acreditamos que vamos poder encontrar respostas concretas sobre isso.
The research is underway, and we believe that we're gonna find the solutions with this regard.
Halala Limpopo, halala. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof, for enlightening us. I think we are better informed now. Prof Mauto wants to hand over a token of appreciation to you. Prof, could you come back? And while we are waiting for that to happen, maybe I can make a quick announcement that we are going to break for tea just for 15 minutes. We will announce the house rules. The other issue, in the interest of time, is should there be other questions, you can engage with Prof during tea break or the rest of the day. And when we get back in the next session, it's parallel sessions, so please note which venue you need to go to. Okay, there are 3 that are listed in the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Chavaya. This is our token from the Faculty of Humanities. We highly appreciate being with us during these spring lectures. You don't have to declare. Thank you.
Thank you. Halala.
La.
Brief us on the house rules regarding our tea break and lunch.
Thanks, Program Director. So, colleagues, good morning to everyone. So, quickly, I'll just be giving few announcements. So, for what we are known for, we'll just ask that we do as we request you. So, we'll start with our dignitaries. We're going for a tea break now, so that without any waste of time, we'll start with the executive management and our guests. They go outside. So, students, just remain here. We have enough food for everyone outside. So please, let's just do so. Our guests and our dignitaries this side, I think they're seated this side, and executive management, they can just go outside quickly. We have a tea break, and everyone else who is here will be served. We have enough food outside. So let's just do it in that order so that there's no confusion outside. We start like that. Thank you.
Shamina. Eh? Hallelujah.
Ha. Yo. Whoa. praise the Lord, praise the Lord.